Hi, I'm Davern. I'm here to share my love for tennis with you and to help you be happier on the court. Today's video to help you to be happier on the court is all about tennis runners. When you're thinking of getting tennis runners because you're just starting up or you need a new pair, then there's quite a few little different topics that you have to try to consider to help you to make a better choice so that you have happier feet and you feel happier on the court, because obviously your feet are the things that have the most hitting to the court, so they're getting in a way the most punishment in terms of impacts and friction. So when you are thinking about the whole idea of how much do I want to spend on a pretty dress, or how much do I want to spend on a cool shirt to wear on the tennis court, actually the thing that you should spend the most money on to make sure you really get a quality pair, because your movement is so important and your feet are really important in tennis, is to invest more in a good quality pair of tennis runners. And that means like I'm saying, tennis runners means you actually have to get ones that are specifically designed for tennis. Okay, so I see a lot of people coming to the courts and they're having running runners which are only really designed to go in a straight line and can be very light and all this type of stuff. They're very different. When you have a pair of tennis shoes, then they don't feel as nice and comfortable and light as other runners. Tennis runners are much heavier and more chunky, and in a way not so, if you're wearing running runners a lot, not so nice or soft to wear. One of the things you have to do is make sure that you try to get the shoe so that there's not a lot of movement in it, because when you're playing tennis and you're moving side to side and running around, there's going to be a lot of movement anyway. So you have to try to consider how wide or narrow is your foot, how long or short is your foot, and you've got to try to really match a shoe that doesn't move too much for you yourself when you're playing. Is instead of trying to get a shoe that your favorite player wears or the brand that your favorite player wears, it's not about the brand, it's much more about what's going to be better for your shoe itself. So I'm just going to get this one ready. So when you're getting your tennis shoes, one of the really important things that you want to make sure is that there's a lot of these side supports here where it's more chunky on the side and in here, because there's the sideways, the lateral movement. So when you're picking the shoe, you want to make stability of the shoe as one of your main important things. Some of the shoes they try to sell on how light they are and things. This you should forget about, and you should go for stability as your really important thing. Stability of the shoe, and then also the other important part will be the cushioning. So you've got all this heavy part of the shoe here which makes it a lot heavier and more chunky than the normal running runners. So you want to go for stability with how much sideways support have they got on these parts here, and the cushioning effect with this part there. Okay, then of course when you have your tennis shoes, there's going to be different court surfaces. So for different court surfaces, the tennis players actually have different shoes in terms of mostly in the sole of the runner. So the base here is going to be different for different courts. So the hard court one is going to be less raised on here. The really grass one is going to be more of little dimples on it, and the ones where there's more movable, like clay, movable surface, then there's going to be much more of the herringbone sole with like the little serrated or triangles like that, the herringbone sole for grip. So every slide you can try to put on the brakes to do that. So one of the things to do is to try to see, if you're looking it up online or things like that, is to try to see for which surface actually is the shoe that you're getting, because that makes a big difference too on when you're playing. So try to consider that you have to a little bit know what surface you're going to play on for which type of shoe you have. Okay. Then another general tip would be for people to get a better life out of your, getting a good quality, more expensive tennis shoe, is when you're going to play tennis, is make sure you try to see if you can, to do that and to increase the life of your tennis shoe, is don't wear your tennis shoes at all when you're not actually in the tennis court. Have some other shoe that you wear, a light shoe or flip-flops or whatever type of thing that you go to the court with, so you're not actually wearing the shoe out without even playing. So you try to bring your tennis shoes with you, but don't actually have them on, unless of course you're rushing to the court. But the idea is to see if when you play is that you can get as much life out of them as you can, and also to preserve the grip. So when I'm talking about the grip, it's on the sole here, is that if when you play and you run around, then of course the friction of your foot moving on the floor and pushing off, stopping and starting, means that this sole is going to be gradually getting smoothed out, or the grip is going to become lesser and lesser over time. So of course it means if you wear your tennis runners around for things more than just playing, then of course this is going to wear down much faster, and then you're not going to feel the same grip and get as much life out of your runners, which if you watch the tennis closely, you'll see quite a few of the tennis players, they walk onto the court and then they actually put their tennis runners on before they do the hit up. They don't walk on with their tennis runners. Well, of course some do, some don't. But that's one of the good tips to help you to have better life in the tennis runner. The other thing is really important is, a lot of people do this mistake, is when you get a new pair of tennis shoes, is you should try to not just put them on and play and run around. Is the stiffness and everything of the leather or the material that you have on the shoe, of course is going to have nobody in it and moving around, and definitely not running and playing tennis in it. So when you first get them, it's a much better idea to walk in them. But of course here, if you're wanting to preserve the life and the grip, then you want to walk on a more soft surface, like real grass, if you can walk on grass, or carpet, things like that. Is walk around them for a while to break them in, or to make everything soften up and make it feel a bit more fitted to you, so that when you first play, you don't get what a lot of people do, is that your foot feels funny, or you get caught in your shoe and you fall and trip, or that you get blisters because it's very stiff and it doesn't move when you move. So then that's an important thing to do, is try not to just put new shoes on and straight away play when you're playing tennis. Okay, other things that you want to try to keep in mind is, this is once you've already got your tennis runner, is that the laces up here, is if you have trouble with your ankles, or you feel your foot moves around too much, then you should really use the top ankle holes up here. It's the very highest one, the closest to your ankle. If you tighten all the way, if you lace it through to there, then you see I don't have mine there because I don't have ankle problems, and I don't feel like my shoe moves around too much when I play. So then I don't use that one. But if you do, then you should use this one here, because that will really close up all this and help it to be much more pulled in towards your ankle, and a more snug fit, and help your ankle not to move as much. So that's an important one. I see a lot of people who say they have ankle problems, but they don't use the ankle hole at the very top. Other things with the lacing would be, like what I'm doing now, is once you've tied your laces, just tuck these parts here underneath, so they're not coming up undone all the time. So you're like this and you're flat, so you're not always doing up your shoelaces. But at the bottom here is you want to try to make it so that as you go up here, it's going to be depending on your size of your foot, how wide and all this type of thing. But normally the idea would be that you're going to be a bit wider here, and then you're going to come in a bit tighter as you go up. So then the shoe becomes more like a glove around your foot and your ankle. And because of tennis that you're moving around a lot, this will help you to have your foot more stable. Whereas a lot of people seem to have it that as they go up, the pull of the laces here goes out more. If your laces are less tied in as you go up, then that means your foot's going to move a lot more, and you're going to have more chance of rolling your ankle and feel less support. So having the laces so it's coming closer in and tighter as you go up, or at least keeping it the same way all the way through instead of having it open out at the top, that will really help with all the feeling of support there. Other important thing to think of when you're getting your tennis runner is that when you're fitted in there, you've got the inside, the insole, is you, of course, if you have some sort of things like flat feet or whatever, then making getting something fitted for you, some orthotics professionally done, that'll make a lot of difference to your feet when you run. Of course, some people, they might have a little bit difference. One leg, the length is slightly different to the other, so then when you run, that's going to cause problems and soreness and possibly injuries is so you might have to have one side built up. So you've got to look at making sure your feet are really even. So when you run around the court, you're going to be moving better. Another important part is the cushioning. When you're getting the tennis runners, again, the weight is going to be a bit heavier, but one of the really important considerations is how much cushioning does it have. Even though it's a bit heavier, is you want to have really good cushioning. So that's what all this type of length is here, and some softness, like this here has some softness, so when you're running around that you have cushioning for all the impacts, like when you're landing from the serve and all these type of things, that all those impacts you have some cushioning. What I do also to help, again, to maintain the cushioning and have a longer life on the shoe before I'm putting the new set on, is I try to make sure that I put an insole in on top of the original ones once I feel that I'm loosening the cushioning. So that will give me an extra softer layer, like sort of walking on carpet, or an extra cushion inside there, because there's another layer in. As you play and your foot keeps banging down, it tends to compress everything. So you can normally fit in another whole insole in the top to give yourself much more cushioning and comfort in there. When I do this, sometimes that means I have to slightly loosen the laces at the very top, because that cushioning, putting it up and putting my shoe more to the top, my foot, sorry, more to the top, it can push on, and then it's going to be uncomfortable for your toes. So then I need to slightly thicken this to help that. Okay, another thing that I want to talk about is my different color shoes. The different color shoes are to have fun on the court. When people see that I'm wearing different color shoes, they're always smiling or laughing, and they're always going, hey, how come you have different color shoes? So now I'm going to tell you what, of course, making people smile and laugh and be happy is one of the main reasons why I do that. But also another thing is doing something that's not always done is a really good thing, because that's challenging people how they think, and try to keep an open mind. It's like, hey, why do I necessarily have to wear two shoes of the same color? And of course, from when I'm on the court and doing lessons, is then having two different color shoes is super, super helpful in being able to teach people a lot of things about footwork, because it's, you know, so different, the red to the blue, to show them the positioning of the right foot and the left foot for lots of different movements and footwork for the strokes and pushing off and running. Having two different colors makes it really easy to demonstrate a lot of things, to highlight important aspects of the footwork. All right, so these are the main tips on different things that you have to consider when you're going to try to get your tennis shoes. So if you have any further questions on other things that, you know, listening to this has brought new questions to your mind, or things that you've wanted to know, just leave a comment below and I'll definitely answer those. Make sure when you go and get a new pair of shoes, or you're going for the very first time, that you try to have a quick look through these important points and use these as some ideas to help you to pick a better shoes. And I can tell you for sure that having a much better quality shoe, that all these type of things tick the boxes with all these things, definitely helps you to be happier on the court. If you like this video, please subscribe to my tennis YouTube channel so that you can get a notification by email each time a new video is uploaded. Also, don't forget to share this video with your friends so they can enjoy their tennis too.